Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I will be talking to you about new work practices and patterns and its effects on employers and employees in the Unit 2.1 of IB Business Management. So just short overview of the table of contents for this whole unit. All of these topics are on my channel, so please check the other videos out. So work patterns and practices. In recent times, there has been a quite significant move away from typical traditions in work practices and patterns, which were characterized by full-time contracts, and they were also mostly permanent, if you think about it. Each week, regular working hours, the typical 5 to 9 jobs, 8 hours a day, 1 hour lunch break, and so on. And then employees work at employer's place of work, meaning as an employee, you go to the office every day, every single day. But now there are different patterns of work, and these include four types, which I will be presenting to you now. So the first type is teleworking, which refers to employees not having to work at the office space due to technological advances, making it possible to use electronic forms of communications such as telephones, talking about over the phone, or internet technologies such as Skyping or Zoom. One of these teleworking types is home working. That's probably the most prominent one. And it's one form where workers, obviously, as the name already tells you, work from their home. Also, there's increased teleworking nowadays due to the rising cost of rents, and as mentioned before, the technological advances which make it possible. The benefits of teleworking are autonomy in decision making for employees. They can decide more on that for themselves, which is oftentimes better for their motivation, and the absence of strict company policies, such as a dress code in the office where everyone has to wear a suit in a bank, for example. The next type of work pattern is flexi time, which refers to a variable work schedule where employees have a set of minimum working hours per week that they have to work, and core period times where they need to be working in a day. But other than that, they are free to choose at what times they work. So in this case, for example, the employer asks the employee to work a minimum of 30 hours a week, and he asks the employees to be at the office or at the place of work from 2 to 5, for example. And the rest of the hours that they have to work, they can choose by themselves when to work, which gives the employee a lot of flexibility. And the benefits of this are improved employee morale and productivity. But then there are also cost implications for the business that implements this work pattern, because managers need to monitor more carefully the actual hours worked by each employee. The next type or pattern or practice is the migration for work, which just refers to the migrants moving to other countries for employment opportunities. You can see it a lot nowadays. And this recruitment of immigrants and temporary workers helps employers fill shorter-term gaps, such as seasonal fluctuations where they need more workers. So it usually benefits the employer. And also another thing to consider is that workers that are highly skilled are more able and willing to migrate due to their greater chance of finding a reasonable or a good employment opportunity for themselves. Also, migration of skilled workers has increased in recent times due to internet technologies, which allows the flow of information, so they can look for job opportunities already when they're still in their home country and then they can leave. And also globalization. For example, the growth of all the multinational companies. The last type of work pattern is part-time, which is pretty self-explanatory, and it refers to employees that work fewer hours than a full-time job. For example, only 20 hours a week will be seen as part-time. And now part-time workers usually work in shifts, but many are also just on standby um, until they are called to cover full-time workers that are off. Um, that often applies to cases where the full-time workers of a business are sick or are on paid leave, paid sick leave, or go on vacation or go on to training, for example, and someone has to cover that job, that position for the time being. In this case, it's often part-time workers, which yet again gives the employer more flexibility in their operational hours. Also, it suits for a lot of people, such as full-time students or mothers with small children. They cannot really do or work a full-time job, but they can and want to do a part-time job where they do not have to work as many hours a week, but they still get paid a bit on the side. But they do not receive the same benefits as full-time employees, and that's pretty important to keep in mind. Not only the pay, but also, for example, insurance and other benefits are often not received because, well, they are only part-time workers, so there are less rules for the contract, and there's a not as high of a standard for the contract and the benefits. So that's it for this topic. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.